Rain poured down like shattered glass from a furious sky. The city was asleep, but Daniel wasn't. He was behind the wheel of his battered old pickup, driving home after another exhausting night shift. His worn-out eyes kept darting between the road and the backseat mirror, where his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, lay asleep, her tiny arms clutching her teddy bear. The world had never gone easy on Daniel. Not since the day his wife passed away 3 years ago. Life became a constant struggle. Every paycheck stretched thin. Every day, a fight to keep food on the table and hope in his daughter's heart. Then it happened. Through the storm's blur, a silver car spun out of control just ahead of him, crashing into a street light with a violent screech. Sparks flew. The hood crumpled. Daniel's heart stopped for half a second before instinct took over. He slammed his brakes, jumped out into the rain, and ran toward the wreck. Inside, he saw a woman unconscious, her airbag deflated, blood trickling down her temple. Without thinking, he ripped open the door, pulled her out just as smoke started rising from the hood. The car hissed, a dangerous sound. He shielded her with his body, and ran a few feet away before an explosion shattered the night sky behind them. He lay there soaking wet, holding the stranger in his arms, her breathing shallow but steady. He didn't know it then, but that single act of courage would change both their lives forever. If you believe that kindness and second chances can still change the world, please like this video, comment your thoughts below, share it with someone who needs hope today, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories that touch the heart. When Daniel woke the next morning, his arms ached, his throat was raw and the rain's echo still rang in his mind. Lily sat on the couch coloring while the news played quietly in the background. That's when he heard it, the story of the woman saved in the rain. The camera showed her face, beautiful, sharp, yet soft. The caption read, CEO of Blackstone Enterprises, Caroline Blackstone, survives late-night crash. Mysterious rescuer disappears before police arrive. Daniel stared, stunned. The woman he saved was one of the most powerful CEOs in the city. He hadn't stayed for the police. He didn't care for recognition or fame. He only cared that she was alive. Life had taught him that some people are born with power while others just do what's right because their heart tells them to. He didn't expect anything to come of it. But 2 days later, as he returned from work, a sleek black car was parked outside his small apartment building. A man in a suit stepped out and asked, "Are you Daniel Carter?" Within an hour, he was standing in the glass lobby of Blackstone Enterprises, still in his faded jeans and flannel shirt, feeling wildly out of place. The woman from the accident, Caroline, walked toward him. She looked different now, confident, graceful, but with eyes full of quiet gratitude. She smiled, extending her hand. "I never got to thank you," she said softly. "You saved my life." Daniel didn't know what to say. He wasn't used to attention. He muttered something humble about doing what anyone would have done. But she shook her head. "No, most people would have driven past. You didn't." After a moment of silence, she told him she wanted to repay him somehow, anything he needed. Daniel refused money. He didn't save her for reward. But when she found out he was struggling to find stable work and raising his daughter alone, she made him an offer. "Come work for me," she said. "Not out of pity, but because people like you, people who still care, are the kind of people I want around." Daniel hesitated, but the thought of finally being able to give Lily a better life made his decision for him. The first few weeks at Blackstone Enterprises were like stepping into another world. Daniel became part of the logistics team, helping manage deliveries and warehouse operations. His coworkers liked him instantly. He was kind, honest, and hardworking. But what surprised him most was how often Caroline visited the warehouse herself. Most CEOs never left their corner offices, but she did, always finding time to talk to her employees to check on projects personally. Sometimes their eyes met across the floor, and Daniel would feel something strange, a warmth he hadn't felt since his wife's passing. He brushed it off. She was his boss. His life was simple, and hers was a universe away from his. But Caroline seemed drawn to him, too. She admired his humility, his quiet strength, the way he talked about his daughter with pride and tenderness. She saw in him something she'd lost long ago. Genuine goodness. One evening, as the rest of the office emptied out, she found him fixing a delivery form error that wasn't even his responsibility. She asked why he cared so much about details that didn't benefit him. He simply smiled and said, "Because it matters. If I do it right, someone's job tomorrow will be easier." Something about that answer lingered with her long after he left the room. Weeks turned into months. Lily would sometimes visit her dad at work. She was a bright spark of sunshine in Daniel's world, and Caroline adored her. Lily drew her pictures, smiling stick figures labeled Daddy, Lily, and Miss Caroline. Each time Caroline received one, her heart softened a little more. But not everyone approved. Some of the executives whispered behind closed doors. The CEO and the single dad. They scoffed at the idea. Caroline's assistant even warned her that spending too much time with Daniel might send the wrong message. But Caroline didn't care. She had built her company from nothing. She wasn't about to let office gossip dictate her heart. Still, Daniel noticed the murmurs. He could feel the tension every time someone looked his way when she entered the warehouse. He began to distance himself, afraid that his presence might harm her reputation or career. Caroline noticed, of course. One afternoon, she found him working alone, his face tired and distant. She asked why he'd been avoiding her. He tried to lie, but his voice betrayed him. "People talk," he said quietly. "And I can't risk being the reason they look at you differently." She smiled sadly. "Daniel, I've spent years being looked at differently. I stopped caring the day I realized kindness is more valuable than perception." That moment broke something open between them. From then on, their bond deepened. Not romantic at first, but pure, full of respect and shared understanding. Two souls who had walked through storms, now learning to stand in the sunlight again. Then came the night everything changed. Caroline's company was hit with a massive financial scandal, one caused by her own vice president embezzling funds. The media tore her apart. Investors panicked. The board questioned her leadership. Overnight, she went from being admired to being blamed. Daniel watched her crumble behind closed doors, fighting to hold her empire together. One night, she sat alone in her office, tears she thought no one would see running down her face. That's when Daniel walked in. He didn't say a word. He simply placed a cup of coffee on her desk and sat across from her. After a long silence, he said, "You saved me when you gave me a job. Let me return the favor now." Over the next few weeks, Daniel stayed late, helping her rebuild trust with her workers. He talked to warehouse staff, couriers, and suppliers, rallying them to stay loyal when many were ready to leave. His sincerity, his belief in her, slowly began to turn things around. And one night, after a long day of crisis meetings, Caroline found herself standing on the rooftop of the building, watching the city lights flicker below. Daniel joined her, quiet as ever. She looked at him and whispered, "Do you ever wonder why fate makes strangers cross paths?" He smiled faintly. "Maybe because we need someone to remind us that not all strangers stay strangers." The company recovered. Slowly but surely, Caroline regained her footing, and through it all, she realized something she could no longer deny. Her heart belonged to the man who had once pulled her from the fire. But Daniel struggled with the same feelings. He was falling for her, too. But guilt held him back. His late wife's memory still lingered in his soul, and he feared that opening his heart again would be a betrayal. One night, as he tucked Lily into bed, she looked at him with her big, curious eyes and said, "Daddy, Miss Caroline makes you smile again. Mommy would be happy." Those words hit him harder than anything else. Children had a way of seeing truth adults hid from themselves. The next day, Daniel went to Caroline's office. He told her the truth, that he cared for her deeply, but he didn't know if he deserved a second chance at love. She took his hand gently and said, "Daniel, you saved my life once. Let me save yours now from the pain that's kept you from living." Months later, the city that once felt cold now seemed warmer somehow. Daniel and Caroline often walked through the park with Lily, their laughter echoing through the air. He still worked at the company, but not as a charity case. He was now the head of operations, a respected leader in his own right. One evening, as the sun set behind the skyline, Caroline turned to him and said softly, "Do you ever think about that night? The rain, the crash." He smiled, looking at her hand resting in his everyday. "Because that's when I found two miracles. One I saved and one that saved me." If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like the video, share it with someone who believes in love after pain, and subscribe for more stories that remind us how fate works in mysterious ways. And before you go, comment below. Do you believe that one act of kindness can truly change a life? Because sometimes it doesn't just change one, it changes two.